You live local, but do you eat local, shop local, travel local? Well, join me and I'll show you how to join the local movement. You'll discover wonderful Kentucky and Tennessee-made products and travel-worthy destinations throughout our region right outside your back door. Not only will you get an inside look at how things are made, but you'll get to take part in virtual day trips, uncovering the people, products, and places that make our region so wonderfully unique. Support the local movement and go local with me, the local traveler.
On this week's episode of The Local Traveler, we've got Lincoln Fever. Our entire episode is dedicated to Honest Abe and his wife, Mary Todd, and just in time for Oscars. Despite coming from humble beginnings and having less than 1 year of formal schooling, Abraham Lincoln became one of our nation's greatest presidents. And the feature film Lincoln has helped America's most iconic and admired presidents to gain the attention of pop culture and historians alike. Our first stop is at the Kentucky Historical Society in Frankfort, Kentucky, to learn more about Lincoln's deep connections to the Bluegrass. We even get to hear the actual sound of Lincoln's pocket watch, the same tick-tock that Greg Smith from Spielberg's sound team traveled to Kentucky to capture and use for the film. We could sense Mary getting jealous, so next we head over to the Mary Todd Lincoln House in Lexington, Kentucky, the same museum that Sally Field herself visited when she was getting into character for the film. We learn more about Abe's First Lady and see her childhood home. But that's not all. Blue Sage Mercantile drops in to show us the art of producing historically accurate clothing. And I jump at the chance to play a part in their costumed fun. Don't miss this historical episode of The Local Traveler. He was born in 1809 in a one-room log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky. He successfully led this country through its greatest constitutional, military, and moral crisis. He was the 16th President of the United States. He was Abraham Lincoln. One of the most iconic figures in the history of our nation has strong ties to our region. It was this formative relationship to Kentucky and the people from here, such as Mary Todd, that helped shape Lincoln into one of the greatest leaders our country has ever known. The movie Lincoln, starring Daniel Day-Lewis and Sally Field, and directed by Steven Spielberg, has breathed new life into the world's fascination with one of America's greatest presidents. Today, we're going to explore just some of our region's Lincoln connections.
We start our expedition at the Kentucky Historical Society in Frankfort, Kentucky. It was formed in 1836 with the intent on preserving the history of the Commonwealth. Not only are we going to get to learn a little bit about Lincoln, but we're going to see what else this society has to offer. Their mission is to provide connections to the past, perspective for the present, and inspiration for the future. Let's go check it out. Well, I'm here with Chelsea Compton, and she is the marketing coordinator at the Kentucky Historical Society. And wow, I walked in and this is expansive. I'm actually embarrassed. I've never been here before because you guys offer so much.
We do. Here at the Kentucky Historical Society, we strive to engage people in the exploration of our Commonwealth's diverse heritage. We do that through a variety of programs. One you're standing in right now, it's our A Kentucky Journey exhibition. It encompasses 12,000 years of Kentucky's history.
Most people come here and they think, well, this is just the museum in Frankfort. But really, you were saying this encompasses all of Kentucky, and even if people can't get here, there are ways to kind of get involved with this.
Exactly. We have online exhibitions on our website, history.ky.gov. We have a brand new smartphone app called Explore Kentucky History. It's free. It's on your Google Play or iTunes store. And even if you don't have a smartphone, you can access its content at explorekyhistory.ky.gov.
Well, yeah, and speaking of the app, I know you guys had a tour on there. I think, was it Civil War? Was that the first tour you had?
We launched our Civil War tour in August of 2012. And since then we've added War of 1812 and Abraham Lincoln.
Well, that's timely with the movie that's come out, and I know we were talking about that a little bit, what a fantastic movie it was. And part of that movie magic, there's a connection back to the Kentucky Historical Society. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we got a phone call back in May from Ben Burt, who is Steven Spielberg's sound designer.
I know, who did, for all you Star Wars fans out there, he did like the lightsaber sound, right?
He's best known for that, but he's also, you know, just many Spielberg movies he's been involved in.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so he called us and said, I have been tracking down different sounds that Abraham Lincoln heard in his lifetime. And he said, but the one I'm looking for is Lincoln's pocket watch ticking, because there's a prominent scene in the movie where he's looking at his pocket watch rather pensively. And he's like, I have a watch that's similar, but I really want Abraham Lincoln's pocket watch. We took it off display, examined it very carefully, and they decided, actually, this watch is in perfect working order. It should be in perfect working order. So they took it out and put just a little drop of oil on it and wound it just like one click, and it ran perfectly.
Amazing.
So Spielberg and Ben Burt actually sent one of their sound technicians here to Frankfort to record the watch in one of our storage rooms.
Well, good, so people can come and this is where you listen to it?
Yes, you can just pick it up and it...
Oh, wow. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know how we're going to get that on. Wow. A connection to Abraham Lincoln is pretty remarkable.
What a treasure our region has right here at the Kentucky Historical Society. Steven Spielberg also recognized how incredibly fortunate we are to have Abraham Lincoln's pocket watch here, and made diligent effort to record the sound of his watch to add to the film's extraordinary authenticity.
And the watch that Lincoln carries on him that you hear ticking sometimes, the museum allowed our sound designer to record the actual ticking of Lincoln's actual watch. So whenever you hear the ticking, that's the same ticking that Lincoln heard 150 years ago. Wow, I love that.
Abraham Lincoln led our country through one of the darkest times in American history. He did not want the great sacrifice of our country's soldiers to be forgotten. His enormous contributions did not go without effect on actor Daniel Day-Lewis.
I never, ever felt that depth of love for another human being that I never met. And that's, I think, probably the effect that Lincoln has on most people that take the time to discover him.
Okay, so we're standing in the Kentucky Hall of Governors, which is beautiful. This is a beautiful room and exhibit here, and I understand you recently kind of remodeled this.
That's right. The Kentucky Hall of Governors opened in June of 2011, and it had been a long-standing project of ours to try to revamp what was a hallway with governors' portraits into something that truly is an exhibit worthy of the people of Kentucky. And I think we really achieved a nice outcome here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So you have these kind of oil portraits of every governor. It's a complete collection.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
And so we have the spot there for Mr. Bashir when
That's right.
his term comes to an end.
You have another project that's also has to do with governors and about letters, and it's kind of an ongoing project, right?
That's right. That would be the Civil War Governors of Kentucky Digital Documentary Edition,
okay.
Which is very hard to say, but I hope easy to explain. It's an attempt to bring together all of the documents that were either signed by, addressed to, endorsed by the 5 Kentucky governors that lived, or reigned, excuse me, during the Civil War era, from 1860 to 1865, and that would be 3 Union governors and 2 provisional Confederate governors.
Wow, and these documents not only talk about the governors and kind of where their heads were and just kind of helping us get an idea of who they were, but you were saying the people too. I mean, you really get these inside look at kind of the people of Kentucky, and so it kind of connects us back to the people that were here at that time.
That's right. And, you know, I like to say here at the Kentucky Historical Society, we're concerned about the future of Kentucky history. And that means the future of what we will know. What researchers will tell us, what new knowledge will get created. And so that's why we're really excited about this collection.
Tell me a little bit about Lincoln and the Civil War and kind of the impact on Kentucky.
Well, you know, not a lot of people realize that Kentucky was the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln. And of course, during the Lincoln Bicentennial, we wanted people to learn that. But we also wanted people to know the significance of Lincoln in his relationship to Kentucky and his broader importance in our nation's history. You know, Lincoln didn't have an awful lot of firsthand experience with slavery. We know that he made some trips down the Mississippi to New Orleans. He saw slave markets in action. We also know that he visited the Speed Plantation at Farmington in Louisville in his adult life and would have seen slavery up close. We also know that he saw a dozen slaves shackled being sent down the river from Louisville on a steamboat, and he wrote about that very eloquently in 1855. He said that slavery had troubled him, and for all time. He always had been troubled by slavery. And so I don't think we doubt his intent to do something about that as president. But what we learned about him as a politician, as a human, you know, a lot of his sensibilities. He was quite a remarkable person and quite a remarkable politician. I think the new Lincoln movie brings out a lot of those qualities.
Well, I'm excited to kind of get looking at some more of these collections and actually see some of those letters. So let's head over and check it out.
All right, terrific.
Abraham Lincoln will forever be remembered for his stance on freedom for all, regardless of race. He issued an executive order, the Emancipation Proclamation, which proclaimed that all slaves in Confederate territory be free forever. The families in Kentucky, both enslaved and free, can be further examined through a remarkable collection of letters that has recently been acquired by the Kentucky Historical Society.
Okay, well, I'm here with Louise Jones. You're the Director of Special Collections and Library here at the
Yes.
Kentucky Historical Society. And you have some Watson and Robinson letters, is that right?
Yes, it's a collection of family letters between people who have moved away from a community in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Christian County. And the letters are actually back to two individuals in Hopkinsville. And as far as we can tell, the letters are written by two groups of people. One appear to be an enslaved group of people who've been removed from Christian County to Mississippi, where their owners have opened up a hotel. And they're writing back to reconnect with family. And Isabel in particular, the one letter writer, is very concerned about people that she left behind. So she checks on each one of them by name. And the letters are a tremendous list of personal information about those people. The other group of letters are by a gentleman named Ferdinand Robinson, whom we know settled in Lexington, Kentucky. Ferdinand, in the very first letter that we have from him, makes a statement that leads us to believe that he is now free. And in fact, in the second letter that we have from him, he actually states, "I am free."
Oh, wow.
So they're a real treasure trove of information, and just, they're very unique. Letters from enslaved individuals are very rare. And so these give us, they really are a treasure for Kentuckians, and they have a huge amount of family information in them, in addition to what they are as history objects.
Wow, these are quite remarkable.
They're amazing.
The Kentucky Historical Society will not only give you a rare glimpse at one of America's most prominent figures, Abraham Lincoln, but you'll also get a rich history lesson on the diverse culture of the Commonwealth. Come see for yourself why this downtown facility has welcomed over 1 million visitors and earned many awards. And while you're there, make sure and listen to the historical tick-tock of Abraham's pocket watch.
This historic building, built in the early 1800s, has been stirring up some recent attention. The Mary Todd Lincoln House is located in downtown Lexington on Main Street. The house was the family home of Mary Todd, who would later become the wife of Abraham Lincoln and a future First Lady of the United States. It is also the first museum in America to honor a First Lady.
Not only are we going to get to tour this priceless piece of our region's history, but we're going to get to talk to one company out of Frankfort, Kentucky that's outfitting people today to look as though they lived back then. Let's go check it out. Okay, well, I'm here with Gwen Thompson, and she is the executive director of the Mary Todd Lincoln House, and we get this great opportunity to chat with you today and to see this lovely home. Tell me a little bit about just the importance of preserving a home like this.
Well, our cultural heritage is, of course, very important, and historic places and sites and the contents of these sites really help speak to our history and to illustrate it and help people feel connected to it, give them a real sense of place. And so that's why historic homes such as this are really important.
Well, tell me a little bit about Mary Todd Lincoln. I mean, I know the movie has kind of let people see her character and who she was a little bit more, but tell me some interesting things that you think about her that maybe the average person coming on a tour here wouldn't know.
Well, Mary came from a very privileged background, one of the founding families of Kentucky, and so she grew up in affluence, but she also had the privilege of a very impressive education, far more impressive than her husband's. She had at least 9 years of schooling, and her husband had less than 1.
Oh, wow.
And she also came from a very politically active heritage. Both of her grandfathers were involved in politics and her father as well. And so she grew up in a political family and had an interest in politics, even though it was an era where women didn't have the opportunity to vote.
Well, I'm excited to get going on the tour and see some of these marvelous rooms.
Okay, great.
Thanks to the overwhelming success of the movie Lincoln, the Mary Todd Lincoln House has been in the recent spotlight. Actress Sally Field, who has been nominated as Best Supporting Actress for her performance as Mary Todd, not only visited and took a tour here in preparation for the role, but also insisted on doing an interview for CBS News from the Mary Todd Lincoln House to better highlight the importance of its historical significance.
So now we're in the dining room. This really is lovely. And this is kind of a place that houses some of Sally Field's favorite things from the tour, right?
Correct.
You got to meet her, which must have been so exciting and thrilling. She was kind of preparing to play Mary Todd Lincoln. She came here. Tell me a little bit about how that all unfolded.
Well, I was just sitting in the office working away one day, and I got a call from her publicist saying that she was planning to fly into Cincinnati and have someone drive her down here the next day for about an hour tour with me. And I was thrilled. And primarily, I was thrilled that she was interested in doing so much research for her role and was taking her role very seriously, and that she wanted to visit us to learn a bit more. And so some of her favorite pieces were ones that belonged to Mary or Mary's family.
Sure.
And here we have one of her favorites, which is one that I refer to as my favorite artifact in the house, which is the silver rep-rosé mug that was a gift to the Lincolns' younger son Tad after the death of his elder brother Willie in the White House.
Right. And there's an inscription on the front. What does it say?
It says Tommy Lincoln in memory of his brother Willie, and it's from James Mueller, who was U.S. Supply Inspector in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. Nice. Well, that's beautiful. Well, and we also are going to get to talk to some people, Sage Mercantile. They're going to come in and bring some, it won't be people of Mary's class and probably people that would have been in this home. I think it'll be more middle class type garments and things, where I know that Mary Todd Lincoln was well-to-do, and so she had more ornate gowns and things.
She had a well-to-do upbringing, but much of her adult married life was essentially as a middle-class housewife. So I'll be very interested to see what they have to show us.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going to go check it out. I think I might have a dress.
Daniel Day-Lewis and Sally Field are both brilliant actors, and we are fortunate to have them play such important figures in our region's history. All the performances in the movie were captivating, as well as the painstaking attention to detail. As we learned earlier in the show, the sounds were as authentic as possible, down to Lincoln's actual pocket watch, and the exquisite costumes in the film were no different. This piqued my interest in the art of clothing characters from our history.
Okay, so I'm here today with Shelley Graves, and you are the co-owner of Blue Sage Mercantile. You and your husband own this company. Tell me a little bit about what you do. You look stunning.
Well, thank you. We are clothiers for historical clothing. What we do is we dress historical interpreters, whether it be for a site such as Shaker Village, Fort Boonesboro, or we will set up in what they call Settlers Row at an event such as Civil War events, Perryville reenactment, and ladies will come shop from us. They can buy ready-made clothing, or we can do custom clothing. Men come and shop with us as well. So we actually do a wide variety and styles of clothing for reenactors.
Tell me about some of the people. You brought kind of an entourage. You have your own kind of like
entourage
little historical entourage here. Tell me about some of the people and what they're dressed as.
I brought my husband with me today. He is dressed as a merchant because when we set up as a store and a dressmaker. So he is considered the owner of the store. I brought a good friend of mine who is in half mourning, so she is a year or so out of mourning from losing someone.
Okay.
Another friend and her husband, he is Union. So she travels with him, and we have brought them. And then also an older gentleman who portrays General Lee is actually dressed as a civilian today, but he is with us as well.
Well, good. Let's see, you have a dress form next to you. It's a beautiful dress, and it looks familiar. We kind of met earlier a little bit to do some fittings, because I think this is a dress I might get to wear.
It is the dress you're going to wear. We had talked about dressing you so you could see what all goes into the period and getting ready for an event. When you start, in order to get this look, there are about 5 layers underneath, and that is at least. You have a pair of bloomers, you have a chemise, you have your corset, your cage, which holds the form out of the dress, and then generally at least 1 petticoat, if not 2 or more.
Well, wonderful. Well, I'm excited to put the dress on.
Okay.
The Mary Todd Lincoln House gives tours and welcomes groups and schools. Don't miss this historical gem right here in our region. And while you're here, make sure and check out the gift shop. There's all kinds of Lincoln-inspired memorabilia. You never know, you just might feel like a character out of the movie Lincoln. Come on, Abe, honey. Let's go.
What a treat it was to learn more about Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd. We even got to learn more about costumes for historical recreators. It was an incredibly historic local traveler experience. Don't forget to tune in to the Academy Awards on Sunday, February 24th to root for the wonderful cast and crew that brought part of our region's heritage to life on the big screen. Coming up on The Local Traveler, we're hitting up some dining hotspots in Lexington, Frankfort, and Louisville that offer an enormous selection of dishes with local and regional ingredients. We start at Doodle's Cafe, where they serve breakfast and lunch and pride themselves in going local and going green. Their motto is comfort food with a conscience, and judging from their stockpile of local foods and commitment to recycling efforts, nothing could be more true. Next, we head to what some call dinner and a show, Rick's White Light Diner. Chef Rick Paul provides a lively experience and is happy to educate anyone that walks through the door on the importance of high-quality local foods. Another food lover also featured this diner, Guy Ferretti, and we learned firsthand why this spot was a favorite on his diners, drive-ins, and dives. Last stop is at North End Cafe, where they use local ingredients from sunup to sundown. Not only are they using local, but they also offer organic, vegetarian, and gluten-free options as well. we end our local feast with some tasty libations. Don't miss this episode of The Local Traveler, where we're going to eat, drink, and be merry. To learn more about the show, please visit us online at localtraveler.com.